In a junkyard outside Jacksonville, Florida, there is a 2003 Dodge Caravan that should not exist anymore. The front end is caved in. The driver's side panel was peeled back like a tin can in a head-on collision. The airbags deployed, and the windshield is spider-cracked from corner to corner. The insurance company had written it off as a total loss. The asking price was $500, cash only, as is. Every single person who walked through that Jacksonville salvage lot looked at the wrecked Caravan and kept walking. Every single person except one. His name is Marcus, and on a humid Tuesday morning in August of 2023, he counted out $500 in crumpled bills, 20s, 10s, 5s, and 1s, handed them to the lot manager, and signed a title transfer for a vehicle that would not legally drive off the property. He had it towed to a free public lot 2 miles away, and then, with no tools, no money, and no home to go back to, Marcus started building. What he created over the next 8 months would have impressed an engineer: a fully functional living space with running water, a hidden shower with hot water, solar power, interior lighting, ventilation, food storage, and a sleeping setup that nobody walking past the vehicle would ever suspect was there, all inside a totaled minivan that an insurance adjuster had declared worthless. This is how he did it. And this is why his story matters far more than just one man and one van. To understand how Marcus ended up in a Jacksonville junkyard, you need to understand what the 18 months before that morning looked like. Marcus had worked for a small commercial roofing company in Central Florida for nearly 7 years. He was the foreman on a 4-man crew, made just over $22 an hour, and rented a 1-bedroom apartment in a working-class neighborhood north of Orlando. He was not getting rich, but he was paying his bills, sending money to his sister in Atlanta, and saving a little bit each month in a credit union savings account. He had grown up in a 2-bedroom rental house in Jacksonville, raised by a single mother who worked nights cleaning hospital floors. He learned to fix things because nothing in his childhood home was ever new. The water heater that took 12 tries to relight, the kitchen sink that leaked into a bucket for 3 years before his uncle finally rebuilt the trap, the car that ran on jumper cables and prayer. By the time Marcus was 13, he could rewire a lamp, patch drywall, and rebuild a lawnmower carburetor. None of those skills felt important at the time. They would later turn out to be the only thing standing between him and the street. Then, in early 2022, he fell from a residential roof in Sanford, Florida, and shattered his left ankle in 3 places. The surgery cost him $11,000 after insurance. The recovery took 5 months, during which he could not work. His employer, a small company with thin margins, could not hold his position open that long. By the time Marcus was cleared to return to physical labor, his job was gone, his savings were gone, and his rent was 4 months behind. The eviction notice came in October. He stayed with a friend for a few weeks, then a cousin, then another friend, until the couches ran out. By December, Marcus was sleeping on a bench in a park in downtown Orlando with a backpack containing every possession he still owned in the world. He tried the shelter system. Most Orlando shelters require sobriety screenings, mandatory religious services, and rigid curfews that made it impossible to take early morning day labor jobs. Marcus needed flexibility to work, but the shelter system was designed around supervision, so he chose the park bench. And then, when the park benches got too dangerous, he chose a Walmart parking lot in a beat-up Toyota sedan he had bought for $300. That Toyota broke down for good in July of 2023. The transmission failed in a Burger King parking lot in central Jacksonville, and the tow truck driver said it would cost more to fix than the car was worth. Marcus signed the title over to the wrecker for $50, and he walked away with everything he owned in 2 trash bags. That is how he ended up walking into a Jacksonville salvage yard the next month. He was looking for the cheapest vehicle on the lot that still had 4 working wheels and a roof. The first night Marcus slept inside the totaled caravan was rough. The interior smelled like burnt plastic and old motor oil. The seats were torn, the floor was covered in shattered safety glass, and there was no power, no water, no light. He slept in the back cargo area on a cardboard mattress with his backpack as a pillow, listening to trucks rolling past on the Jacksonville interstate a few hundred yards away. But somewhere around 3 in the morning, lying in the dark, Marcus had a thought that would change the next 8 months of his life. He realized that this vehicle had everything he needed except for the things he could build himself. It had walls, it had a roof, it had a floor, it had doors that locked, it had windows, it had cargo space behind the back seats and storage under the front seats. It had a roof rack already installed. It had a power outlet in the dash. And critically, because the engine was destroyed, nobody was ever going to ask him to move it. The police would assume it was abandoned. Tow companies wouldn't bother with a vehicle that couldn't be flipped at auction. The wrecked exterior was a kind of armor. He just needed to add water, then power, then comfort, then concealment. And he started the next morning at a Home Depot in northern Jacksonville with $67 in his pocket and a list of materials scribbled on the back of a receipt. The water system was the hardest piece, and the part Marcus is proudest of. Most vehicle dwellers carry water in cheap 1-gallon plastic jugs and pour it by hand. That works for drinking, but it does not work for cooking, washing dishes, or staying clean. Marcus wanted a real plumbing system, the kind you would find inside a recreational vehicle or a tiny home. The problem was that real recreational vehicle plumbing systems cost between $800 and $3,000 to install professionally. Marcus built his entire system for $147 over 6 weeks of scavenging and bartering. He started with a 40-gallon plastic water tank, the kind farmers use for watering livestock, which he found at a tractor supply store in Central Florida for $49. He mounted it under the rear cargo floor in the space where the spare tire used to live by removing the spare tire well entirely with a borrowed reciprocating saw and bolting an aluminum frame in its place. The pump was the real find. A 12-volt recreational vehicle water pump that pulls 1.2 gallons per minute and runs off a standard car battery. Marcus found a used one at a Florida flea market for $15, tested it with a borrowed multimeter, and rebuilt the seals himself with parts from an auto parts store. He plumbed it to the tank with PEX tubing, the same flexible plastic pipe used in modern home construction, which he bought in 20-foot rolls at $6 each. The faucet came from a junkyard travel trailer, free for the taking. The kitchen sink was a stainless steel mixing bowl with a hole drilled in the bottom, mounted into a hole he cut in a piece of plywood. The drain ran through a hose that exits through a small hole in the floor and empties into a 5-gallon gray water jug he carries to a public dump station once a week. It's not pretty, it's not certified, it would never pass a plumbing inspection, but it works. Marcus turns a faucet handle inside his minivan and clean water flows. He has fresh water for drinking, cooking, brushing his teeth, and washing dishes. And the entire system fits invisibly inside what looks like a wrecked van from the outside. The shower was the part that nobody believed was possible. Marcus built a fully functional hot water indoor shower inside a 2003 Dodge Caravan, and you would never know it was there if you walked past the vehicle. The setup is hidden behind the rear hatch, in the cargo area where the third-row seats used to fold down. He removed those seats entirely and built a waterproof shower pan out of marine-grade vinyl glued over a plywood base, all sealed with the same silicone caulk people use in bathroom remodels. The shower head connects to the same 40-gallon tank that feeds his sink, but with one critical addition. Marcus installed a propane on-demand water heater, the kind hikers use for camping, which mounts on the inside of the rear hatch and runs off a 1-pound propane canister. When he wants a hot shower, he hangs a small camping propane tank, opens a valve, lights the heater, and within 30 seconds he has hot water flowing at exactly the temperature he wants. The privacy curtains hang from a tension rod across the rear interior, blackout fabric that completely conceals the cargo area when closed. The drain runs out through a small fitting in the floor, identical to the kitchen drain, into a separate gray water container. His shower routine, beginning to end, takes about 7 minutes. He uses approximately 3 gallons of water per shower, which means his 40-gallon tank gives him roughly 12 days of showers between refills. He refills the tank for free at public spigots in Jacksonville parks and at a sympathetic gas station owner who lets him hook up a hose once a week in exchange for sweeping the lot every Saturday morning. A man who was sleeping on park benches 8 months ago now takes a hot shower every single morning inside a vehicle the world wrote off as worthless. The electrical system is what makes everything else possible. Without power, there is no water pump, no lights, no fan, no phone charger, and no way to live in the van past sunset. Marcus solved this with one of the cheapest off-grid solar setups you can build. 200-watt rigid solar panels mount to the factory roof rack, secured with U-bolts and weatherproof sealant. The panels feed into a $30 charge controller, which feeds into a single deep cycle marine battery he salvaged from a boatyard. The battery sits in a vented box behind the driver's seat. From there, 12-volt wiring runs through a small fuse panel, which powers his water pump, interior LED strip lights, a small ventilation fan in the rear window, and a USB charging hub for his phone. On a sunny Florida day, the panels generate more electricity than Marcus uses. The battery stays at full charge from morning to night. He has lights when he reads at night, a fan running constantly during the brutal Florida summers, and a phone that never dies. The total cost of the entire electrical system, including panels, controller, battery, wiring, fuses, lights, and fan, came to $212 over 4 months of careful purchasing. A traditional RV solar setup of equivalent capacity would have cost over $1,200 retail. The thing Marcus thinks about more than water or power or shelter is the police. Vehicle dwellers across the United States face a constant threat that most people never have to consider. Sleeping in your car is illegal in most American cities, even on public streets, even in parking lots, even when you are not bothering anyone. A police officer can knock on your window at 3 in the morning, run your plates, ticket you, and order you to move on. Get enough tickets and your vehicle gets towed. Lose your vehicle and you lose everything. So Marcus engineered his minivan to be invisible. From the outside, the caravan still looks like a wrecked vehicle. The crumpled front end is intentional camouflage. The cracked windshield stays cracked. He covered the windows with custom-cut Reflectix, a foil insulation material that looks like a sunshade from the outside, but blocks all light and visibility from inside. The rear cargo windows are blacked out with the same material, then covered again with old curtains that look like junk piled in the back. Marcus rotates between 5 different parking locations across Jacksonville on a strict schedule. He never sleeps in the same spot 2 nights in a row. He arrives after 10 at night and leaves before 7 in the morning. He uses a small portable toilet inside the van so he never has to step outside in the middle of the night. He keeps the interior completely dark. He never plays music or makes noise that could be heard from outside. In 8 months of stealth living, Marcus has been approached by police exactly twice. Both times, the officers looked at the wrecked exterior, asked if the vehicle was abandoned, accepted his explanation that he was waiting on a tow, and left without further questions. The destroyed front end is the perfect disguise. Nobody assumes someone lives inside a wreck. If this story is hitting you the way it hit us when we first heard it, hit subscribe. We tell stories about people the system forgot every single week. Now let's talk about where Marcus is today. Marcus is still living in the Minivan in Jacksonville as of last month. He has been working full-time at a warehouse on the north side of the city for the past 5 months, earning $18 an hour on the loading dock. He gets up at 4:30 every morning, takes his hot shower in the back of his minivan, eats a breakfast he cooks on a small camping stove, and walks 20 minutes to the bus stop that gets him to work by 6. His co-workers do not know he is homeless. They have never asked, and he has never told them. He shows up clean, on time, in pressed work clothes he washes at a Jacksonville laundromat once a week. He eats lunch out of a cooler he keeps in the cab. At the end of his shift, he takes the bus back to whatever parking lot he chose for that night, climbs into the back of a vehicle nobody would ever guess was a home, and goes to sleep. He is saving every dollar he does not spend on food and propane. His goal is to save enough money for a security deposit and first month's rent on a small apartment by next summer. He is about 60% of the way there. He does not drink. He does not smoke. He does not spend money on anything except essentials and the slow, steady upgrades to his van that make daily life a little more bearable. But here's what makes Marcus's story bigger than just one man. According to the most recent point-in-time count from the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, more than 650,000 Americans experienced homelessness on a single night in 2023. That number was the highest since the federal government started tracking it in 2007. And the fastest growing segment of that population is not people sleeping under bridges or in shelters. It is people living in vehicles. In Los Angeles County alone, vehicle dwellers now make up roughly half of the unsheltered homeless population. In Seattle, in Portland, in Phoenix, in Austin, in nearly every major American city, you can drive through commercial districts and industrial zones at midnight and see them. Old recreational vehicles with curtained windows, sedans with cardboard taped over the glass, minivans parked in long-term lots, pickup trucks with cargo shells converted into sleeping quarters. Most of these people are not drug addicts. They are not mentally ill. They are not lazy or making bad choices. They are working-class Americans who lost a job, lost a partner, got injured, or got priced out of an apartment market that has tripled in cost over the past 15 years, while wages stayed flat. They are people one bad break away from where Marcus was, and they are solving the problem the only way they can. Many of them are working full-time. Some are working 2 jobs. They are nurses, warehouse workers, Uber drivers, and cooks. They get up before dawn, they put in honest hours, and they go home to a Honda Civic or a Ford Econoline or a battered minivan parked in the shadows behind a strip mall, because the math of American rent no longer works for people earning American wages. Marcus built a hidden home with running water inside a totaled minivan because the alternative was sleeping on a park bench. Hundreds of thousands of other Americans are doing some version of the same thing right now in cities all across this country, and almost nobody is talking about it. The real story is not a black homeless man who turned $500 into a survival miracle. The real story is a country where his ingenuity was necessary in the first place, where a working roofer with 7 years of experience can fall off a roof, lose his job, and end up sleeping in a salvage yard within 12 months, where the safety net is so threadbare that the only thing standing between a man and the street is whatever he can build with his own hands out of parts other people threw away. Marcus's minivan home is impressive. It's also a quiet indictment of a system that forced him to build it. If you want to see how a Vietnam veteran turned a school bus into a permanent off-grid home in the Arizona desert, that video is on screen now.